We have been going at this since the beginning of October with these closed-door depositions. We have been through about 14 closed-door hearings at this point. There will be at least one more coming that we know of, but at this point it seems like things have kind of dried up in terms of the willingness of the witnesses that have been called to be deposed to actually show up for those depositions and engage. So the question that is before a lot of these people is, well, do you comply or don't?
Let's see if we can get in.
When you have one of these more hostile situations, is that the legal weight of congressional subpoena, is it enforceable? And that's something that has been, ultimately can be decided in courts, can be risen up to the level of a contempt citation, and there's a whole legal process that can go from there, but it takes a while. Even though we are talking about laws and the Constitution and abuses of power, allegedly, and everything else like that, impeachment is still fundamentally a political act. It is not done through the courts, it is done in Congress, the votes are taken by politicians, and so you can't really separate the two. If you ignore a subpoena, you can be held in contempt. If you're held in contempt, now we're talking about legal consequences. There's the inherent contempt that Congress hasn't done forever and a day, which would be locking them up in a little jail cell in the basement or imposing fines. Or there's waiting to see what the courts say. And if the courts force you to go and you then don't go, there's legal repercussions potentially for that too. We haven't gotten that far yet with any of these investigations, both because the courts move slowly and also because Democrats have made a strategic decision not to get mired in the courts with witness after witness after witness, which means that basically we're waiting on these few test cases to see if those things shake free. If they do, you'll end up having a few more witnesses be part of this probe. If they don't, you're not going to see the probe go away. It's going to move on to its next stage, it's going to go public, it's going to end up in a vote on the floor. Democrats feel like they have enough between the transcript of the phone call between Trump and the Ukrainian president and the public statements that Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney has made to say, look, this is our case. We can keep corroborating it in higher profile witnesses that are, hand-picked Trump GOP officials would be great to help us make that case, but we don't need them to help us make that case. The White House has been opposed to congressional oversight in a lot of different ways since the beginning of the Trump administration, and there has been this tension and this push and pull tug of war between the legislative branch and the executive branch, even when we weren't talking about an impeachment of the sitting president. So it's just kind of gotten amped up past that here. The president doesn't want to comply with an impeachment investigation that he thinks is a witch hunt. That is his opinion and his wording of how he likes to refer to what the congressional investigations of him have amounted to. But he has basically issued a blanket directive that nobody should be taking part in this, but does a blanket directive have the same legal weight as a subpoena? Not really. But we will see for some of these more high-profile individuals where there's a question of could they invoke some sort of executive privilege.